Okay, good morning. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Sunday morning class. Today, we are continuing our series on Purify the Mind. Today is the power of, oh gosh, you just told me resilience? Reliance. Thank you. Literally just told me that. Power of reliance. So that's the second power that we're going over. With regards to there's 4 powers. So happy to be talking about that today. Today's teacher is going to be Gen Menla, who is our resident teacher. So you're in for a great meditation session today. We do just have a few announcements. First of all, if you're new to KMC Texas, welcome. Welcome to those of you also streaming online. We're happy to have you. Obviously, because we're in the state of the current world of events, if you're here in the Gampo, we do ask to take care of one another, that you keep your mask on for the duration of the class today. Make sure it covers your nose and mouth. And that's a great way to show that you cherish other people and want to care for their health and well-being. We also care about you here at KMC Texas, so please, if you can, continue that practice with us. Secondly, also, we want you to have the best meditation class that you can have, so please put your phones on silent, or if you feel like it might distract you, please, by all means, put it in the back in the shoe rack or even outside if you feel that you need to. And then we also welcome you to do that at home. Try to limit as many distractions as you can in your environment. Last, we are obviously a Buddhist center, but you don't need to be Buddhist to benefit from these teachings. But we do ask that out of respect for the teacher and the teachings, if you don't mind, and if you're able, to please stand when they enter the room as well as when they exit. Outside of that, we welcome you to class today. Have a great session.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So nice to see you all. I wasn't able to be here for class on Sunday last week. So Happy New Year for those of you who are here last week. Thank you very much, Ken. I wish for you that it is a blessed and healthy and happy New Year. This week, next week, and for all the rest of the year. Most importantly, that we can develop and maintain peaceful mind, peaceful mind throughout the moments, throughout the days, throughout the weeks. Because as our mind is more and more peaceful, then we have greater happiness. That's the Buddhist message. When our mind is peaceful, we're free from the pains of worry and anxiety and fears. We're free from mental disturbance. We're free from different levels of problems, inner problems, or unhappiness, So, I pray for you to have peace of mind, as much of it as you can find, develop, maintain. So, excuse me. So this month and next month, we're in a series of classes, meditations, lessons on purifying our mind. And what are we purifying our mind of? We're engaging in practices to purify our mind of negative karma and of the origin of our negative karma, which is delusion. So unpeaceful states of mind that are agitating to us, such as fear, such as anger, such as jealousy, such as self-absorption, deluded pride, and so forth, like this. We are looking at purifying our mind of these delusions and the karma that we have created in the past, previously in this life and in past lives long ago, the karma that we've created out of delusion. So the entire spiritual path for Buddhists is about purification and transformation. It's about changing ourselves, changing ourselves. It's about, as I've said, developing more peaceful and positive minds and eliminating negative karma and creating positive karma. And this is in a simple way the Buddhist path. It's about purification and change, transformation, becoming more peaceful, loving, compassionate, and wise. We can even ultimately say, the goal or the outcome of the Buddhist path is to become an enlightened individual. Fantastic. I think we could all, each and every one of us in our whole world, could do with becoming more enlightened. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah. Overcoming our ignorance, for sure. Overcoming the fear that is born out of ignorance, definitely. Overcoming the selfishness that is born out of ignorance, definitely. Overcoming the destructive minds of anger, definitely. We could all do individually and collectively with becoming more enlightened. And as we purify our mind, this is the person we're becoming, a more enlightened individual. And eventually we will become a fully enlightened person if we keep traveling the path, one foot after the other. It doesn't matter how many lives it takes, as long as we keep going in that direction. Eventually, we all will awaken fully. We all will become a fully or completely enlightened being. This might seem far down the road from where we are today, but it doesn't matter. I think one way in which I've been thinking about enlightenment more these days is really from the point of view of love. I think it's very easy to understand this. Maybe we hear enlightenment and maybe that could seem a little esoteric, or maybe we have to start learning how to float on a cloud, or I don't know, kind of be divorced from worldly concerns. But I think that a simple way of understanding what enlightenment is the development, the complete development of our love. It's developing a heart of love that is constant, that is unchanging, that is unbiased and unconditional. That takes work, doesn't it? But if we develop such a good heart, a heart that is fully loving constantly, all the time, we're just about enlightened, fully enlightened. It will lead us to a completely awakened state. This is the essence. This is the essence, practically speaking, of enlightenment, is loving kindness, love. And we can all develop it. We all have it. We all can grow it. We can deepen it. We can stabilize it. We can become that person. Sometimes we say that this phrase these days is pretty cool, like the best version of ourself. And the best version of ourself is that loving self. The best and highest, the most spiritual version of ourself is that self that has that warm, loving, kind, compassionate heart. So this is our enlightenment. So in terms of purification, we can purify all of the obstacles to our love, right? All the things that are holding us back, both the delusions and the karmic obstacles. We can remove these things. we can take the various challenges that we experience in our life as an opportunity to grow in our love. Not the difficulties and the people who are difficult for us and the misfortune that we experience, not an obstacle to our happiness. We can take them as an opportunity to grow in the real causes of our happiness: love, patience, compassion, empathy, so forth. So there's a prayer that says, though the world and its beings, filled with the effects of evil, pour down unwanted suffering like rain, this is a chance to exhaust the effects of negative actions. I seek your blessings. So we're praying, I seek your blessings to transform adverse conditions into the path. I love these words. We think of evil, this means negative karma and delusion, the delusion that has created our negative karma. So though the world and the beings are filled with the effects of delusion and karma, the things, the misfortune that happens, the obstacles, and if we look at our world right now, we could say there's definitely some bad karma ripening collectively. Definitely. It's very destabilizing for everyone throughout the world, individually and collectively. Definitely. And we all have different misfortune ripen at different times. So though the world and its beings are filled with the effects of negative karma, this moment now is a chance, an opportunity for us to grow in transforming adversity into the spiritual path, to grow into this enlightened person. So one of the ways in which we can transform our adversities, one of the ways in which we can take them on, is through understanding purification practice, and specifically the 4 powers of purification. So this is what we're going to look at actually for 4 weeks. Last week we started with the first power, and today we're going to look at the second, next week the third, and the following the fourth. Because if we understand a complete purification practice, utilizing what are called the 4 powers of purification, or the 4 opponent powers, then we can take whatever adversity as a lesson in purification. Or we can take whatever adversity or challenge we find, individually or collectively, as a practice of purification. So we have this chance to transform adversity into the path of purification, the change of karma and delusion. So the second power is called reliance. Reliance. Who or what do we rely upon to help us change our karma? Who or what do we rely upon to help us to change our mind into a more loving, patient, and compassionate mind? This question of reliance is what we're going to look at today, this power of reliance. Okay, so that's the introduction to today's class. So now we can do some meditation. We can do some breathing meditation, which will cause our mind to become peaceful. Okay, cause our mind to become more still, balanced. Yes, if you'd like to sit in a cushion, you're more than welcome. If you want to go back to your chair, you're more than welcome to do that, whatever's comfortable for you. Okay, so after the meditation, we will practice and recite what's called the liberating prayer. This is a praise of Buddha Shakyamuni. Buddha is our teacher, our spiritual guide, and whether you're Buddhist or not, we can all benefit with making a connection with Buddha. So we recite this liberating prayer at the conclusion of the meditation. Okay, so let's begin with the meditation. Please find a comfortable posture with your back being straight but relaxed. You can have your shoulders relaxed and level, with your head tilted forward slightly. You can have your eyes gently closed or partially open, gazing down, allowing in a small amount of light. And have your hands resting in your lap, the right inside of the left, with the tips of your thumbs gently touching. The most important feature of the posture is that your back is straight but relaxed. So please leave behind all of the activity, the plans, and the concerns of your daily life. Bring your awareness within the meditation space, leaving everything else behind you. Bring your awareness within your body. Notice any areas of tension that you might be holding in the neck, the shoulders, or so forth, and just try to relax as you are able. We're so used to being in motion that it will take some time to feel comfortable sitting quietly and still. Just be patient with yourself. Bring your awareness to your breathing, to the wave-like motion of the inhalation and exhalation. Just be with your breath. Observe it. As you breathe in, as you breathe out, just observe and allow yourself to settle. Your mind will become engaged with different thoughts, different feelings or sounds. Whenever you find this happens, just come back to the breath, to the wave-like motion of the inhalation and exhalation. As you breathe in, imagine, feel that you're breathing in peace, stillness, the blessing of Buddha. And as you breathe out, imagine and feel that you're releasing busyness, stress, anxiety. Breathe away the energy of busyness, distraction, inner conflict, worry. Breathe away this energy as you exhale. Breathe in peace, stillness, stability, the peaceful blessing of Buddha with each inhalation. Breathe this in. Whenever your mind wanders away, simply come back to the meditation. Allow your state of mind to gradually change. Allow it to become more settled, more peaceful. We're not aiming at perfection, but just aiming to practice and to find some measure of inner peace. To deepen the meditation, you can roughly visualize or imagine peace, stillness, and stability as pure light. Breathe in pure light. As you exhale, you can imagine any busyness, inner conflict, and so forth as dark smoke. Just breathe away all of this as dark smoke. Breathe in pure light. Release dark smoke. With each cycle of the breath, meditate like this and connect with the feeling, the pure feeling it evokes. When you find this peaceful feeling inside of you, enjoy it. However slight or fleeting it may be, enjoy it and cultivate it through your meditation. Connect more deeply with this peaceful feeling. Whatever level of peace you find and experience, I want you now to think, this is me. This peace is me. Identify with it. Know that this is your nature. Delusions, worries, and fears are like weather in the sky, temporary and passing through. But your nature is like the clear sky itself, the peaceful open sky. Identify with the peace that you feel, thinking, this is me. This is me. This peace is our Buddha nature, our indestructible spiritual potential, our Buddha nature, to help us to increase the power of our Buddha nature. We can connect with Buddha himself through reciting and meditating on the liberating prayer.
O Blessed One, Shakyamuni Buddha, precious treasury of compassion, bestower supreme inner peace, exception, are the source of happiness and goodness, and you guide us to the liberating path. Your body is a wish-fulfilling jewel. Your speech is supreme purifying nectar, and your mind is refuge for all living beings. With folded hands I turn to you, supreme unchanging friend. I request from the depths of my heart, please give me the light of your wisdom to dispel the darkness of my mind, and to heal my mental continuum. Please nourish me with your goodness, that I in turn may nourish all beings with an unceasing banquet of delight. Through your compassionate intention, your blessings and virtuous deeds, and my strong wish to rely upon you. May all suffering quickly cease, and all happiness and joy be fulfilled, and may holy Dhamma flourish forevermore.
Okay, so hope you enjoyed that practice. Towards the end of it, I ask you to identify with some peaceful feeling that you had as yourself, as your nature. It's very important to do this. And why? Because we can identify ourselves in so many different ways. And we can ask ourselves, what are the ways in which we identify? What are the ways in which we identify? I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm gay, I'm straight, I'm just, okay. But are those the fundamental qualities of who we are as human beings? I don't think so. They're parts of who we are, but they're not the most important parts. Wouldn't we say that the most important part of who we are, characteristic of who we are as a person, is our good heart, is our capacity for enlightenment, is our ability to be empathetic, compassionate, wise, at peace? I would say these are the more fundamental parts of who we are. And so we can identify with these. In the quiet of meditation, we can actively change the way in which we identify ourselves. Now, in daily life, we can identify with our stress, right? I'm a stress ball. Like this feeling. Whatever, or I'm very worried. I'm very worried. So we're actively relating to different emotions, feelings, states of mind throughout the day. So we need to change that script. Yes, we have these feelings, these emotions, these states of mind, but how much better is it to identify with our capacity for peace? That is who we are, our capacity or potential for patient acceptance, for love, for wisdom, our Buddha nature. So because day by day we're relating or identifying ourselves in so many different ways, in the quiet and in the kind of intentional time of meditation, we can re-identify with our Buddha nature, with what is most fundamental about ourselves, what is really eternal. Our delusions, our angers come and go, our worries come and go, but our peace is always there, at least at the level of potential. Sometimes it shows up without any effort. We just wake up feeling blissful, me, happy and peaceful. Sometimes we just go for a walk, calm down, and then poof, some peace is restored. This is our fundamental aspect. It is an eternal part of us. It will never go away. Just as the analogy I'm always sharing of the sky beyond the clouds. It's eternal, this Buddha nature. So let's identify with that. Let's take the quiet time of meditation to focus on that, to focus on this part of ourself, our spiritual self, our spiritual qualities, our best self, or the highest or best version of ourself. So I'm just explaining this so that you understand why I guide the meditation in that way and the purpose of doing so, the function. And so that when you do it, you can feel more confident in doing it. Because we're creatures of habit, aren't we? We just kind of do what we're used to doing. And if we're used to identifying ourselves in many ordinary ways, that is just what we'll do. So in the meditation, we can develop the habit or become more familiar with our Buddha nature, with our good heart, our peaceful heart. We'll grow this experience in this way of existing. And so although in meditation, maybe we only do it briefly, this habit can come to bear in our daily life, And then we can find ourselves relating more to this feeling, like wanting to hold on to some inner peace and let go of whatever disturbances are in our mind. We can find that we're actively able to do that in daily life a little bit more because we've taken the practice time in the quiet of meditation and intentionally changed our mind, intentionally changed the way in which we identify, and we've come closer and closer to our Buddha nature. So the meditation practice is really meant to bear on our day-to-day, our daily life's experience. Our meditation isn't like the nice time we get to escape from everything. Although it is a nice time, just to switch off everything. It's great. It's great. Okay? And wonderful. We need to press pause on everything every day. Just stop. Stop. It's all going to keep going, swirling around, but we can press pause, we can stop. We need to retreat, in a sense, from all of that every day. But ultimately, it's to go back into daily life with a new mindset, right? So our meditation practice is really meant to be integrated into our life, so that our life becomes our meditation practice. That the meditation practice isn't just kind of the 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever we may have, whatever we may be using, It's not just that time. It's not just the quiet moments or the reading. It's everything, ultimately. So please find your own meditation practice, if you don't already have one, or develop it, develop it. See how you can go deeper and deeper into your Buddha nature and becoming that best, highest version of yourself, that enlightened person, more and more, gradually, step by step, We could ask the question, if all of us in our city were to do this every single day, how much better off would our city be? Be very different. Less honking, less people cutting people off, less griping, all these things. So sometimes we need to ask these types of questions because we think, oh my gosh, in the face of the world, how much is my own little meditation really going to help? but it helps immensely. It helps immensely. And as more and more of us take on this type of practice, it helps our entire city. It helps all of our families, our communities, ultimately even our world, which is just a collection of our various communities. So please feel confident that your practice of meditation is a benefit to yourself and others, and in fact, can be very powerful. Okay, so now I'd like to start to explain a little bit about the 4 powers of purification. So I'm teaching from this book called Joyful Path of Good Fortune in the chapter called Preparing for Meditation. It says here, at present, our mind is like an overcast sky. But if we purify all our negativity and keep the promise to refrain from harmful actions in the future, our mind will become like a clear and cloudless sky. In the text Friendly Letter, the Buddhist master Nagarjuna says, if anyone who has previously been extremely reckless later practices conscientiousness sincerely, that person will become pure, like a stainless moon. So what this is saying is everything is changeable. Everything is changeable. So in the past, we have been reckless, have we not? Yes, I got a big nod at the back there. We've been reckless. We've been reckless with our minds. We've been reckless with our actions. We've not been conscientious and performing good actions. Our delusions have taken us over, our anger, our frustration, our fear, and we've acted out of these delusions. We have, in a sense, been reckless. We've lost our mindfulness and so forth. So we've engaged in negative actions earlier in this life, but more importantly, in previous lives. Okay, Buddhist understanding always takes into account past and future lives, past, present, and future lives. That this is just one life in the course of many lives, many lives. So as we have been reckless earlier in this life, so too we have been reckless in previous lives. No doubt, right? No doubt. If we have been born as a wild animal, we have probably been reckless. We have been many forms of life before. Okay? So we have engaged in negative actions out of delusion. We've created negative karma. The law of karma really is just a part of cause and effect. Okay? So basically, what we have done in previous lives, the recklessness that we have engaged in, we have created negative karma, or we have created the cause to experience a similar result from that karma. We've created a cause. Okay? Just when you plant a seed, you're like creating a cause for a plant to grow. So when we have created negative actions or reckless actions, we've created a cause or planted a seed for us to experience something similar in nature, something connected to that action in this life or in future lifetimes. Okay? We're planting a seed, and there's a potentiality for future effects for certain plants, experiences to ripen or grow. So, however, as it says, if we later practice conscientiousness, we will become completely purified, like a stainless moon. Do you know? So right now our mind is overcast. It's like an overcast sky, full of clouds, the clouds of negative karma, the clouds of delusion. But this is all temporary. What I get, one of the things I get out of this statement, that anyone who has previously been extremely reckless later practices conscientiousness sincerely, that person will become like a pure and stainless moon, is that everything is changeable. Our karma is changeable, our mind's changeable, we're not stuck. We don't have to be limited by our past. We don't have to be limited by our delusions. We don't have to be limited by our actions. Yes, we've created certain karma, but that's changeable. We can eliminate that negative karma. We can purify that negative karma. So, for instance, how is it that we can purify negative karma? So, an example. So let's say we create something. We create a building, right? But then we can implode it and destroy it. So in the same way, we created karma, but we can destroy that karma. It is our creation. It's not like, oh no, man, I got this karma. Who gave it to me? No way I'm going to get rid of it. The karma is our creation. It's our action. In fact, the word karma means action. Because we have created it, we can eliminate it. We can get rid of it. Our karma is changeable. Like anything we create, it's impermanent by nature. Just as the building is impermanent. You did read about that building in San Francisco? It's tilting. It's tilting a lot more than the engineers expected. That was wild to me. I was like, wow. I didn't know that they built these buildings understanding that they, of course, are going to settle. When I read about it, I thought it makes perfect sense. But this one's tilting a lot more than they expected very quickly. It's not static, and our karma is same. It's all changeable. Imperceptibly, our karma is changing. And so we can change it in the sense of eliminating it, purifying it, getting rid of it. Now, what about our delusions? How is it that our delusions are changeable? Well, if we practice patient acceptance, for instance, then we can reduce our tendencies towards anger. Right? Of course. So our anger, the delusion of anger, is temporary. It's temporary. It comes and it goes based on different conditions, inner and outer conditions. But if we practice patience, we take this conscientiously as a practice over a long period of time, then we can free ourselves from the disturbing and destructive mind of anger. It is impermanent by nature. It is not permanent. Of course, in the moment of our anger, in the moment of our fear, gosh, it feels so permanent. It feels as if we could hold it or feel it or grasp onto it very tightly. It feels as if it's taking us over, perhaps. But it too, our fears are impermanent. They too are impermanent. They come, they go, based on changing conditions. So, because our karma and because our delusions are both changeable, we can change them in the sense of eliminating them. We can get rid of them altogether. So how do we do this? How do we do this? So in terms of eliminating our negative karma, it's explained that there's 4 opponent powers. There's 4 powers of our mind. There's 4 spiritual minds, 4 inner powers that we can develop, which directly oppose our negative karma. Now, there are 4 types of action. There's 4 effects of actions, but I'm not going to get into that. That'd be too much detail. We can just know that there's various effects of our negative karma, and these 4 opponent powers directly oppose the various effects of our negative karma. Okay, so these powers are the power of regret, the power of reliance, the power of opponent force, and the power of promise. These are the 4 opponent powers. And by utilizing all of these, we engage in a very powerful or complete practice of purification. Very effective for neutralizing the effects of our negative karma and eventually eliminating our negative karma altogether. So with the power of regret, in general, there's powers, there's different functions to these 4 powers. So the power of regret helps us to stop or prevent the increase of our negative karma. Okay, so we can think of our negative karma as like debt, a credit card or loan debt. There's interest on it, and as time goes on, if we don't pay down this debt, then what? The interest accrues. So more and more debt accrues. There's this principle to the law of karma, in fact. So through the power of regret, we prevent our negative karma or karmic debt from growing. Okay, it's like having a 0% interest rate. We still have the debt in general, but it's not increasing. The power of reliance helps us to subdue, okay? Helps us to prevent it from ripening, okay? So this is a general effect of the power of regret. The power of the opponent force, as it says, helps us to directly oppose our negative karma. Okay, so if there's a battle going on, there's 2 opponents, right? If there's a karate match or something in the Olympics, there's 2 opponents going on, one against the other. One of them is going to prevail, right? So through the power of the opponent force, this directly opposes our negative karma. Okay. And then the power of promise. This helps us not to repeat negative karma, creating negative karma, which makes perfect sense, because if we promise not to do something, we're not going to do it. Right? So it holds us back. one of the effects of karma is that we have the tendency to engage in actions which are similar to the type of karma we created ago. This is again like we're being creatures of habit. We have a tendency. Some people have a tendency towards anger very, very easily. It's the karmic effect. They have a tendency towards this. We often think about this kind of thing just in terms of personality. It's just their personality, or who knows. But from Buddhist point of view, there's a karmic tendency. Okay? The tendency to repeat certain actions. So here, the power of promise, and this helps us not to repeat, helps us to prevent the repetition or the continuation of these cycles of actions and their effects. So, excuse me. So there's an analogy that I often like to share that I think illustrates these four opponent powers very well, and it's very, very easy for us to relate to, and that's the analogy of an apology, right? A sincere apology. So let's say we've done something to offend someone. We've said something that's hurt them. And we recognize that we need to apologize. This happens in our close relationships, often in various relationships. So in terms of having like a sincere and complete apology, we can see that this contains all of the four opponent powers. So the first one is the power of regret. We have to recognize that we've harmed someone and wish that we hadn't. Now, regret isn't guilt, okay? It's not saying, oh man, I'm a bad person for doing such and such a thing. That actually prevents us from changing. We're like locking ourselves into a negative view of who we are. We're defining ourselves by these actions and delusions. Okay, that is not what regret is encouraging whatsoever. Regret is an active mind. It gives us energy to change. And so we regret that we've harmed someone, we've offended them. The first power. Okay? Then reliance. So if we're going to engage in a sincere apology, we're going to rely upon them, aren't we? We're going to rely upon them to accept our apology. We're going to go towards them and say, I really need to apologize. Okay? So there's this power of reliance, like requesting them to accept. So then we have the power of the opponent force. What would this be like in an apology? This would be to sincerely say, I'm very sorry. That's the opposite of what we've done, right? To accept our responsibility. To say, yes, this is my fault. And not to make excuses and so forth, but to honestly say, this is my fault and I apologize. I did not want to hurt you and so forth. So the power of this goodness, this sincerity, the power of this consideration for this other person is like the opponent force. It pushes against our previously created negative karma, right? So this is like paying off our debt. So the more we pay off our debt, the debt goes down. So the money we go to pay it off is opposing the force of the debt, right? So in the same way, this goodness is like paying off the debt. It opposes the previously created negative karma. So then the final power is promise, right? And in a sincere apology, we would say, I promise, I'm going to try. I promise, I'm not going to do that again. So from Buddhist point of view, a complete purification isn't accomplished until we have this promise. This is what makes it fully effective. Okay? So hopefully in this analogy we can see the value of the four opponent powers for like neutralizing, reducing, opposing negativity for change. For the change of negative karma, the change of delusion. So let's look a little bit more at reliance. Last week's class was on regret, and this week we'll look a little bit at reliance. So the power of reliance, in the text it says the power of reliance. There are two main objects of our negative actions, the three jewels and living beings. Most of our negative actions are committed against other living beings. Motivated by attachment, anger, or ignorance, we kill, steal, lie, and so forth. This is like the human story. Okay? I'm not saying you kill. I don't know you. But if you have, it's okay. We can change. Many, actually, before the sections I've read, the author gives many examples of actually people who engaged in such heinous actions such as murder. And how even these people were able to purify, to accomplish a purification and transformation. And we know this in society in general. There's people who go to jail, go to prison for their heinous crimes and genuinely come out changed people. Definitely. So if people can affect such a change, can't we purify our negativity? Of course. Of course. We definitely can. So, we have also committed many negative actions against holy beings such as Buddhas and so forth. Okay? So, in the practice of reliance, we can ask ourselves a question. Who or what are we relying upon in order to change? In order to release negativity, in order to purify negative karma? Who or what are we relying upon to accomplish this? So, I've already explained a little bit, we're relying on other people, right? Relying on other people. Because the majority of our negative actions have come in relationships to other beings, humans, animals, so forth. Okay? And so, in the practice of developing love, we need someone to love. Right? In the practice of developing patience, we need people to help us develop patience. In the practice of developing compassion, we need others to develop compassion for. Without people whom we are relying upon in this way, we won't really be able to develop these positive minds. So you see, we got to go back, just as in that apology, we got to go back to those we've harmed and rely upon others, either in general or specifically in our development of love, in our development of patience, in our development of acceptance. We need others to do this. We don't grow spiritually in a vacuum, right? We don't grow without challenge. We don't grow without others. So we're relying upon others for this growth, okay? So this is one way we can answer, who or what are we relying upon in order to purify our karma and actions? We're relying upon other people. As we say, the objects of our love, as the objects of our patience, as the objects of our compassion. Without them, we can't grow. Another answer to this question, who or what are we relying upon to purify our negative karma, could also be answered in that we're relying upon enlightened beings, holy beings, such as Buddha. Enlightened beings have the power to purify our negative karma. So, but you might not believe that. I can say it, but how do we believe it? Do you have a reason? Very simple analogy I can give. So if we are a fully qualified electrician, or we're like a fully qualified doctor, we've accomplished our area of profession. We've learned many, many things. We know how to do many, many things. And then what? We have apprentices or we have residents. And we teach them, guide them. They learn from us because of the experience that we as a fully qualified doctor or electrician have gained. Then we can impart that experience onto others and to help them. So in the same way, enlightened beings have completely purified their negative karma, have completely purified their minds. I mean, an enlightened being is just an all-pervasive love. So enlightened beings have the ability to impart to us, through their blessing, the ability to purify karma. They have this power because they've accomplished it already. And they have the power to impart their experience of love, of patience, of enlightenment. They have the power to impart this experience through their blessings to us. Definitely. So we are relying upon enlightened beings to help us get rid of our karma. So one way of looking at this practice of reliance is saying that the real solution to all of our problems and difficulties is a spiritual one. The real solution is a spiritual solution. The real solution is not legislation. The real solution is not governance, not to say that there aren't temporary benefits to certain legislation and certain forms of government. I mean, the real solutions are not developing different economic systems, although there could be benefit from having different systems. The real solutions to be found for the suffering that we experience individually and collectively, the real solutions are spiritual solutions, are they not? Because the real solution is to develop peace. The real solution is to develop love. The real solution is to develop the virtues of patience and so forth, wisdom. These are the real solutions. So the solutions are spiritual solutions. The actions that we engage in this world are motivated by what? Our intentions, our desires, our understandings, our mind. And spiritual practice from a Buddhist point of view is a transformation of our mental state. So the real solution to the problems we experience personally and collectively is the transformation of our mind, our heart and our mind. The real solution, like in the final analysis, is a spiritual one. So then we can say that relying upon enlightened beings is part of the actual solution. Why? Because they're outside of this mess. Buddhas are outside of this mess, the cycles of karma and rebirth, actions and effects, the repetitive cycles of actions and effects. They've purified their karma and mind. They have attained nirvana. They're outside the wheel of rebirth or wheel of life. So they can help us get there too. The real solution is a spiritual one, relying upon those who have gone beyond, who are further ahead than we are, to rely upon enlightened beings. We don't have to really understand too much about the existence of enlightened beings. Not too much. We can simply have the faith that they exist. Maybe we don't know how, why, the power that they have. We don't know how they help us to purify our negative karma or guide us and protect us. We don't know how they're blessing us and imparting their wisdom. We don't need to know how so much. We just need to know or have faith that exists, that they exist. It's a little bit like our phone. We don't know how our phone works. We don't know all the technology and the program, and we just pick it up and use it. We're like, it works, gonna get a new one. It's the same way. We think it works. There are the existence of enlightened beings. There are the spiritual practices to lead us to the elimination or purification of our negative karma altogether. So I'm going to follow. Over time, through experience, through learning, through study, receiving more teachings, from thinking, contemplating, then we gain our own understanding, our own insight into the nature, the existence, the power, the how of enlightened beings. So, in the back of this book called Introduction to Buddhism, there's a practice, a purification practice that's given. So, I don't think we can kind of skip over this fact that in the book Introduction to Buddhism, like the first things we should know, in the back there's a complete explanation of how to engage in the four powers and a purification practice that enables us to do this. It's one of the first things to know. So this practice is called the Mahayana Sutra of the Three Superior Heaps. Okay, and these heaps refer to collections. You gather sand together, and there's 3 heaps of sand on the ground. These heaps. So collections of positive action. Okay, so you have the collection of prostration. We have the collection of purification. We have the collection of dedication. So in this practice, the 3 superior heaps, we visualize the 35 confession Buddhas and practice purification in their presence. In general, all Buddhas have the power to protect living beings from suffering and negative karma. However, because of the prayers and dedications they made while they were bodhisattvas, these 35 Buddhas have a special karmic link with the human beings of this world. Through the power of their blessings and prayers, we can swiftly purify even the heaviest negative actions simply by faithfully reciting their names. When I read this, it blew my mind. Like years ago when I read this, oh my gosh, just through reciting the names of these Buddhas with an open mind, I'm automatically purifying a lot of karma because their special power is to purify. Without me knowing much, I don't even know what their names mean. But I've done this practice a lot over the years, and I will tell you that as you become familiar with this practice, you feel the purification. You feel it. You feel like something is happening and moving just by reciting these extraordinary words, just by remembering their names. As you become more familiar with the practice, you can visualize these Buddhas. It becomes a living communication. It becomes a relationship. And you feel the change, the blessings that occur through just reciting the words, meditating on the practice. So I encourage you to learn about this practice and just recite the names of these Buddhas. Just keep reciting them until you feel better. That's basically it. Until you start to feel your heart becoming lighter, until you begin to feel some shift, or you even see in your life some shift, and you know this is working. I'm witnessing it myself. And then it gives us even deeper faith in the practice, So this is one practice, this Mahayana Sutra of the Three Superior Heaps, and reciting the names of these 35 Buddhas. The final thing I'd like to mention before we meditate is that there's also a practice. This is the second. We have two main purification practices in our tradition. The first I've just explained. The other is called meditation and recitation of Vajrasattva. Vajrasattva is a Buddha of purification. Again, an enlightened being whose specific ability or power is to help remove negative karma. And so in this practice, what we do when relying upon Vajrasattva is we visualize this Buddha at our crown. We visualize this Buddha in a form of radiant light, radiant white light, like the light of the sun. We can just imagine like a sphere of white light at your crown and think this is the Buddha of purification. We don't have to get too specific. Over time it will develop. But we imagine this Buddha is there with us, on top of our crown. And then what we do is we recite a mantra of this Buddha to request blessings. And in the practice of reciting the mantra, I'm explaining this in a very general way. You can read all the detail, if you like, in the booklet. But in a general way, when we recite the mantra, we're requesting cleansing, purification, and so forth. And we imagine that streams of white light pour down into our body. From this jewel of light at our crown, streams of white light pour down, filling our entire body, causing our body to feel very light. And we imagine that it becomes as clear as crystal, translucent. And then we imagine and feel that all of our negativity at this time has been dispelled. And then we recite the mantra again, and we engage in this visualization again. Okay? So this is part of the reliance upon this Buddha, is invoking the blessings of power, recognizing that the real solution is a spiritual one. We can be empowered to eliminate our negative karma, but we don't eliminate it by ourselves alone. It's not within our own power alone that we can do this. We can develop the power through reliance, through the empowerment of enlightened beings. Okay, so I've just briefly introduced to you these two practices, the 35 Buddhas practice and the Vajrasattva and mantra recitation, visualization practice. And you can learn about them, you can do them. You can practice these meditations and work on purifying karmic obstructions and delusions. Okay, so I know I've said a lot for you to think about. But have you ever noticed how 1 week can feel like a lifetime? Have you noticed that? Like, oh my God. Like, do you remember last Sunday? Like, what happened this week? Anyway, so much. So I do feel like it's my job to give you a lot to think about over the week, to consider, so that we have a lot of spiritual fodder, for our daily life. Okay, so now what I'd like us to do is consider this question. What is the real solution? And the answer, that the solution is a spiritual one. This will help us in our practice of reliance. As before, find a comfortable posture with your back being straight but relaxed. And observe your breathing for a few moments, just to gather your awareness inside. We can still and quiet the mind to some degree through the breathing meditation. We can prepare for a contemplation. We all understand in general how the problems we individually and collectively experience come from negative action and the delusion that created that negative action. We all understand that anger and actions out of anger, this karma, is a cause of suffering. That jealousy and the actions created out of jealousy, this karma, is a cause of suffering. That ignorance and selfishness, and the actions created out of ignorance and selfishness, this karma, is the cause of suffering. So we can ask, what is the solution? Who or what do we rely upon in order to change? To change ourselves and our world. Who and what do we rely upon? What is the real solution? Please ask this question of yourself. Please reflect upon it and find your own answer. Find your spiritual answer. we can remember this verse. Though the world and its beings, filled with the effects of evil, pour down unwanted suffering like rain, this is a chance to exhaust the effects of negative actions. Therefore, I seek your blessings to transform adverse conditions into the path. By relying upon enlightened beings and their teachings, we request their blessings to transform adversity. Through this reliance, we can purify negative karma. Though the world and its beings, filled with the effects of evil, pour down unwanted suffering like rain, this is a chance to exhaust the effects of negative actions. Therefore, I seek your blessings to transform it, to transform adversity into the path. And we can bring our meditation to a close by dedicating these good actions of listening, contemplating, and meditating to the enlightenment of ourselves, our friends and family, and we dedicate for the enlightenment of all beings. May each and every one of us grow in our patience, inner peace, love, and wisdom. And we can rise from meditation. Okay, so next week we're going to look at the power of the opponent force. So what are the positive practices that push against our karmic debt, that are the opponents to or eliminate our karmic debt, our delusion debt? Okay. Have a good week. Thank you.
So thank you all. So nice to see you this morning. It's lovely. And even though I can't see you at home, it's really nice to know that you're here. Just want to let you know about next Saturday. We have our Detox Your Mind Silent Day retreat. So if you've never been, we do a retreat for the whole day. It starts at around 10 a.m. And then we do multiple sessions like we just did today throughout the day until about 5 p.m. So about 4 sessions with a nice lunch in between. And the Detox Your Mind will be silent day. So no talking for the whole day, which is really lovely because we don't really get that many opportunities in our normal day-to-day life throughout a year to actually engage in silence. And it can be very profound and meaningful day to spend together engaging in these practices and then remaining silent and working with our mind. So if you're interested in that, the topic will be some stupid, silly, it's not stupid, but silly, fancy name, the absorption of cessation of gross conceptual thought, which I love, but basically it's the stop thinking so much meditation. Helps us come in and reduce our mental chatter. So I'm really looking forward to that. And if you would like to, you're all welcome to come. Have a great rest of your week. Thank you.